Chris Cuomo here. Welcome to News Nation, where right and left come and try to be reasonable. So, did you hear? We went viral for saying it's okay to be wrong. You got to follow me on TikTok and see all the mishigas that's going on. Look at my hair. Much more important than going viral is that the clip exposed a virus in our society, the fact-eating gotcha virus. As a reminder, the video I posted was a basic piece of common sense for any adult, let alone somebody who's going to be the double nickel this coming Saturday. I've been wrong a lot in my life. You learn a lot of lessons along the way, almost always through failure, through wrongness, through learning from mistakes, as we all do. It's part of life. Everywhere that is, except in our politics. Because in our politics, in this binary battle to the bottom, being wrong is weakness, and you can never admit it. You can never apologize, because all it does is empower the other side to say, see. So people fight it at all costs. Insults, misinformation, disinformation, outright lies, anything to prove the other side is wrong, or that no matter what, they are never wrong. Now, the key part is, I never mentioned anything specifically that I have been wrong about. I kept it vague on purpose. Why? I wanted to see how many people would just acknowledge, yeah, I know, I've aged also. We make mistakes. You're right, Chris. More people should, remember that we're all flawed and we should have some grace, some forgiveness. Versus those who would abuse the disclosure to advance an agenda by assuming I was wrong about whatever they want to be right about. And remember, I specified nothing. So, what did we find? Most took the clip as intended, but there was a decent chunk of those who did not. And among those, a huge righty bias, with too many trying to say that what I'm saying is that I was wrong about fill in the blank. Trump, MAGA, the vaccine, the Russia investigations, even issues where I haven't disagreed with the MAGA position. I was presumed wrong about those too. So now we see what and who has to change. Less gotcha, more getting back to a world where two things can be true at the same time, and it is okay to have competing interests. You see, absolutism is extremism, okay? The lack of accommodation, the lack of compromise, the lack of any nuance, the lack of context. All of these things play into a very limited and jaundiced view of reality. And progress is found elsewhere, in pragmatism, in incrementalism, in compromise. And we see this in the impasse that is the war in the Middle East. Everyone is using the suffering of one side or the other to prove that they've been right all along and the other side is the worst. So there's an obvious position that embraces both sides, right? You want peace in the Middle East? What do you have to have? Hamas must surrender and return the people they stole. As soon as that happens, Israel must end its military activities and surrender control of the occupied area. And to begin this process, right, the major move is Hamas surrendering. But as the catalyst of good faith, Israel should allow aid to flood in. I don't care what Hamas does with it. I don't care how much of it is wasted. I don't care how much of it is sold off. Just the optics. Show who you really are and flood in all the aid, okay? And the IDF, when it does that, should allow all media to go without escort and cover the reality. I promise it will serve truth and it will serve fairness. And there is no fairness in the coverage right now. Any rejection of these concepts that I just laid out is proof of an extreme agenda, especially among those with an affinity for a social media-generated genocide. Over the weekend, there was a perfect intersection of these two competing narratives and how one side chooses to ignore the suffering of anything but their own. Did you see the horrific video of the starving Israeli hostage? Last name is David Abiatar, being forced by Hamas, scumbags that they are, to dig his own grave? Probably didn't. Why? Because if it's not people in Gaza, most of the lefties don't want to hear it. Hamas released it, by the way. They released this. It's not an IDF plant. It's not something they went in and made it. Hamas released it. Why? Because they don't give a shit about your good faith and your goodwill and your support of them. They don't even want most of you people to have the freedoms that you have. They wanted people to see their strength and that it's, hey, not just Gazans who are suffering, we're making them suffer too. They put this out exactly when the needle is moving towards sympathy for Gazans. They put this out to remind why it's all happening. And after the family of this poor young guy allowed the media to post it, digging his own grave. Did you see it on the front page of the New York Times? Nope. You would think that to show, hey, you were wrong about us. We just made a mistake with that kid in Gaza who has cerebral palsy that we just said was starving when his brother looks fine and his mother looks fine. And to prove that, here, we'll put this out. No, they don't put it out. So the Times has an agenda. What it is, you decide for yourself, okay? But why that image isn't everywhere, shared by people who say they give a damn about what's happening in Gaza. If you care about the suffering, then you just care. Not just when it's to the disadvantage of Israel, but you care about what's happening in Syria. You care about what's happening in the Sudan. You care about what's happening in Yemen. You care about what's happening in those concentration camps in China with the Muslim ethnic minorities in it. You care. So you care when you care, which is whenever humanity is affected or afflicted. But you're not doing that. So you don't show that picture. You don't show the hostage, Ram Braslovsky. Hamas also put out a sick propaganda video of him last week. Why? They want people to see they're making Israelis suffer. Know this when you decide to put your keffiyeh on and hit the streets. Did Bernie Sanders, did AOC, with their millions of followers, condemn Hamas? Condemn these? Not a damn word. The American people no longer want to finance Israel's wrongful war in Palestine. But does the senator say, so Hamas must surrender, give back the people so Israel can stop? What a bunch of propaganda. What a pandering to the left. When you don't even think to suggest the obvious precondition that the people who started it surrender. Look at them. I hope you guys run. I can't wait to see how the country reacts. The Times didn't dedicate their front page to it, which they definitely should have. They never even admitted they were wrong, right? And then all their little friendlies. And let me tell you, there are people who are running websites who have personal relationships that compromise their coverage on this issue. And they think they're just going to pound on people who support Israel and their right to defend themselves because they have Palestinian and Muslim personal connections, and that it's not going to come out. And you are mistaken, my friends, because that is a bias that you must disclose, and you are not. You are not being fair. You're paying fealty to your lover or your extended family or whoever you're trying to service, but you're not servicing the truth. So let's talk about what these issues mean for us. And I want to look at it in an interesting way of plus minus in our state of play. And I brought in two better minds with a great feel of what is happening and what should be done about it and what it means and where the priorities should be, okay? And I want to look at it in context of not just Israel, because let's be honest, Israel's not what the midterms are going to turn on. It's going to be extremism and who's battling it, depending on what bad thing happens. It's going to be the economy, and it's going to be democracy, and which side seems to be more ruinous. Now, right now, the needle is moving towards gerrymandering and redistricting in Texas. Man, does it look like dirty pool when you try to cut up places so that you can't win as a Democrat. And by the way, you already have 95% retention. The country has been gerrymandered so much. You have 95% retention of incumbents when they are less than 30% in approval. Legend Democratic strategist James Carville, legend host of the Stephen A. Smith Show, Stephen A. Smith. It's good to have you both. Oh, and I must announce, with Stephen's okay, of course. Stephen A is going to have an even new way for you to hear his stylings. New show, September 17, Sirius XM. They needed a boost, and they just got it in the form of Stephen A. Smith. Congratulations to them. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
So, Brother James Carville.
Yes, sir.
Last thing you need is another platform. But forget about what's happening in the Middle East, because that's not what our politics here at home are really about. But nothing affects the outcome of elections more than the districts and how they're made up. And the Republicans have always known this, and they've done such an excellent job exploiting state races, winning legislative seats, because states do the districts. How big a deal is what we're seeing in Texas?
It's a huge deal. And Chris, you have to get the exact number, but it's been figured out in order for the Democrats to break even in the House, they need to carry something like 52.5 or, I don't know, 53% of the popular vote. So it's supposed to be the most democratic of the institutions and governments and the most responsive to the will of the people. That is no longer the case. And of course, what you're going to start is they're going to do it in Texas, and they're going to try to do it in California, and they're going to do something in New York, and I don't know if they can squeeze another district here. And politics has not become your ideas, it's become what kind of computer map can you draw to protect yourself. And both, by the way, it is correct if you said both parties at fault. However, it's about 82 to 18. All right, and this is a pretty serious thing. Unfortunately, it's like warfare. One side arms, and you get ballistic missiles, and they get ballistic missiles, and you get this. And
no question.
I don't know.
No question. And by the way, it may affect. It may decide the midterms. You know, I keep talking. What are the issues going to be in which parts of the country? May not matter. If they get this done at the state level, it really won't matter what happens in the midterms, because they're going to have it locked up anyway. And Stephen, I want your take on this, although it's not easy to match James, because the way he has positioned himself, I don't know if you can see him, but he has put his head right in the middle of the Statue of Liberty's halo. So he has a lot of cultural cachet coming right now, because he's basically Lady Liberty. How do you see that issue in terms of what it means to people and how little we pay attention to this?
Well, the first order of business is recognizing that you're brilliant because you know you're not. You just listen to those who are, and you learn from them. James Carville has forgot more politics than I'll ever know, and so listening to him and break out his points, I can appreciate where he's coming from. But here's the thing that I will throw in that I think everybody needs to understand. There is an advantage to even to the Democrats when all is said and done about what's transpiring right now. At the behest of the President of the United States, Governor Abbott has taken this position. It's not something that they haven't done before in the state of Texas. They did it in 2003. I think they did it a few years later after that, if I remember, 2021 as well, where after some delay caused by the Democrats, they ultimately got what they want in Texas in terms of redistricting. We know this, but because of Trump, so much stuff that normally gets ignored by the average citizen. He's such a polarizing figure. You either love him on the right or you hate him on the left, that ultimately he brings attention to the kind of things, dare I say, James, you yourself, Chris, and various others who are considered political aficionados would applaud, because if people pay rapt attention to what's going on, that's usually the first step towards addressing it with the fervor and the vehemence that it deserves, so you can put a stop to this kind of nonsense. Now, when we talk about the issue of gerrymandering and what have you, and what they're trying to pull over right now, it's something that has happened, but it usually happens at the end of each decade, they say. This is not something that happens in the middle of things as we're seeing it unfold right now. So it's clear what Texas is doing in Dallas, San Antonio, Austin, Texas, Houston, places like that, where are considered mostly blue in the eyes of some people. They believe the redistricting will generate 5 additional seats in Congress. If they're right, What does that say? They pulled the okie doke on Texas citizens who aren't necessarily of the red wave. And that's what they will have done to secure more seats in the House, which will secure Trump's agenda through 2026 midterms and obviously until he leaves office in 2028, assuming he doesn't try to circumvent the Constitution with the 22nd Amendment and get a third term. So all of these things are going to force us to pay attention to it. I don't like what's happening. I think it's real slick. It's shady. The Democrats haven't been innocent of it themselves in the past, but nevertheless, maybe something like this, because of Trump's presence in the White House, will bring the attention to this issue that it so richly deserves.
You know, part of the problem is, James, Stephen is actually exhibiting what you were referring to. One of the layers of your point was, yeah, both parties do it, but it's like 82-18. James happens to be right. Democrats, you can say they don't play the game as well, or they don't focus on it, or they don't understand the value of it. I don't know what the reason is. But Republicans do this a lot more and a lot more effectively than Democrats do. That's why they focus so much on state legislative houses, and it's worked very well for them. I don't hate the players. I don't hate anybody, but I do hate the game. And this is the game. And that's why I didn't even focus in this segment on what the governor's doing, chasing after Democrats who ran away. See, because that's a distraction. He does have to get them back for a vote. He shouldn't do it the way he's doing it. He's going to victimize them. But that's not what matters. What matters is the reality of the manipulation of the process. All right, let's take a break, and then we'll come back. And I want to get into two juicier topics, okay, maybe three. Russiagate, is the investigating going to be the big mistake for Trump? Is he pushing his leverage too much and getting Bondi to do lawfare after he said he was going to stop it? And then Stephen A. Smith, some talk about him running for president, but now is he beefing with Michelle Obama? And I know he's not going to play her one-on-one. I've seen her in the pivot move. The pivot move in the low box, Stephen A. is not made to defend against it. He's from the waist down. I'm telling you, they should have feathers on them. So is that what's going on here? Is this a way of getting away from the real challenge? And not to be outdone, Donald Trump said, whoa, Stephen A., you don't get to cause controversy. Charlemagne the God, he's a punk. Next.
If I listen to ESPN for an hour, it's like watching the Real Housewives of Atlanta. It's the same drama, and they're yelling at each other, and they don't get along. Stephen A. Smith, he's just like every other talk show host.
Real Housewife.
He would be.
Right. He would be amazing.
Uh-oh. She went there. We're back with James Carville and Stephen A. Smith. James and I will sit as those who will measure the potential outcome of this scenario. Stephen A. Smith, what do you make of this kerfluffle with the former First Lady?
Well, first of all, it's no kerfluffle. She'll always be my first lady. She's the greatest first lady in American history as far as I'm concerned. I absolutely revere her. Secondly, it does have me questioning how legitimate of a sports fan her husband is. Maybe, just maybe, this is all Barack Obama's fault because he's too smooth, too cool for school, per se. Because every sports fan that I've ever been around, we get loud, we get obnoxious, we're passionate, we're reactive, we're emotional, we're ready to throw stuff at our TVs from time to time. Evidently, her husband, the 44th president of the United States of America, this brother's so smooth, he's just sitting back all cool and everything while he's watching his Chicago Bulls win championships when Jordan was there and lose every time he hasn't been there. I don't know what the situation is, but I will say this. Sports reality TV is different from sports. There's real competition in sports. There's real athleticism in sports. There's real talent in sports. A lot of times in reality TV, not to say there isn't talent there, but it certainly doesn't compare to the marvelous athletes we see competing feverishly in the world of sports, which is now a multi-billion-dollar industry. Just look at the National Football League, the NBA, et cetera. And so I think she's wrong about that. But in the end, where the kerfuffle, as you put it so eloquently, comes into play is because I always wanted to have an opportunity to speak to Michelle Obama because I was always taken aback and, dare I say, offended as a black man when she was campaigning for Kamala Harris. And while campaigning, she said that a vote for her for Trump would be a vote against us as women. I understand where she was coming from. And obviously, I voted for Kamala Harris. But my point is, James, I don't know how you feel about this, but my attitude is everybody's got their one salient issue that they point to when it comes to voting. Some people care about the economy. Some people care about immigration. Some people care about safety in the streets. Some people care about a lot of things. And so you're trying to tell me that a man that's looking at his dollars and his wallet or is looking at immigration issues because he may be Hispanic or what have you, or somebody that's living in the streets of America and he feels that his neighborhood is unsafe, you're trying to tell me that if he elected to vote for that in favor of something like that, it's a vote against you because he's not thinking about pro-choice or pro-life? I just don't think that's realistic. And that's why I used that as an opportunity, even though that wasn't a subject she brought up. I never forgot that she said that, nor did I forget nor appreciated how Obama was talking to black individuals in Pittsburgh when he said that to the young black men there, hey, it's a bit misogynistic. I know why you're not thinking about voting for Kamala Harris. Wait a minute. Black men revere black women. We love our black women. We was raised by our mamas, our grandmamas, and what have you. That's not how we think and that's not how we feel. We believe that women are highly, highly capable, better than us, smarter than us, more composed than us in a lot of different situations. Don't let pride and ego get in the way that we do. We revere women. So I'm like, where you getting that from? And I thought it was important to bring that up. I said it months ago when they said it. I said it during the campaign. I said it again yesterday. I'm saying it tonight because I mean what I say. I ain't stutter with one word. I didn't like that coming out of either of their mouths. But that's the only thing that I have ever disliked about Michelle Obama because I think she's wonderful.
Man, he's backpedaling. He's backpedaling like a free safety.
I'm not backpedaling.
He doesn't want the smoke.
Facts.
He doesn't want the smoke. She called you common. She called you common, Stephen A. She called you common.
She doesn't.
She called you common.
She doesn't know better.
She called you common.
If she called me that, she doesn't. If she called me that, she doesn't know better. Because I'm not common.
You are. What do you think of it, James?
Well, I agree. There's nothing common about Stephen A. I just want to know what Sirius XM channel he's going to be on because I listen to it all the time when I commute.
POTUS. And sports. Both.
POTUS. Okay, 124. I know it, man.
124,
right.
but he's also doing the sports show.
I'll be on Mad Dog Sports Radio weekly, daily from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'll be on POTUS 124 every Wednesday night at 6 to 8.
Mrs. Obama's brother was a college basketball coach. Maybe he still is, but
yes, he was. I know him.
State.
I know him. He used to coach for the Knicks.
I don't know, but I think he's pretty passionate about sports. And look, you're not going to stop me from being passionate when LSU plays Alabama or whoever they play. We open against Clemson. Let me tell you,
we need sports.
And kicking and screaming.
We need sports more than ever. We need the reminder. We need the reminder of what rivalry is about, and what how you got to love one another, and that's part of the game too, and that when the game's over, it's over. We need those lessons. It's why we want our kids playing sports. Let me ask you something. My theory is I wanted to ignore what Trump said about Charlemagne for two reasons. One, limit the diet of negativity, but second, I don't think it moves the needle. I think anybody who's pissed off, James, by what he said about Charlemagne the God doesn't like him already. And anybody who's like, yeah, Charlemagne the God, what a stupid name. I don't like anything that he says. They're already Trumpers.
Well, first of all, I don't think Charlemagne the God cares what some Trumper thinks about his name. He's actually, I listen to him sometimes, and he's a pretty smart guy. I mean, he's
no question.
Like anybody else, he can be polemic from time to time. But if you listen to him over a period of time, there's actually some connectivity to his thought process.
He's a smart guy, but he broke the golden rule, Stephen A., which is he made trouble for Trump. And he did it by telling the truth. This Epstein thing is a thorn in the paw of the lion, and it's not going away. he said that. Trump didn't want to hear it, so he called him stupid.
Well, first of all, it may seem to be the job of some politicians to kiss Trump's ass. That's not Charlamagne the God's job. He's a radio host, a Hall of Fame radio host, by the way, who I've known for years. And the last thing you can accuse him of is having a low IQ. He's a conscientious observer. He's not afraid to attack the left or the right. We all know I can relate to that. And I think that one of the things we may have missed is that Charlamagne did an opening monologue on Donald Trump. Maybe it wasn't the opening, but he did a monologue on Donald Trump on Comedy Central, where he made fun of him and talked about his debilitating or diminished skills, per se, and showed visual evidence just as a comedy skit to make fun of Trump. And as we've seen from Trump, when comedians get at him or when somebody tries to be comedic in getting at him, he reacts the way that he reacts, bragging about getting Stephen Colbert canceled, hinting that Jimmy Kimmel for ABC would be next, and possibly Jimmy Fallon thereafter. And now he's going after Charlamagne the God. So it's not a surprise. We understand it. We understand that the president, which is the biggest thing I've lamented about him, just be presidential, be a statesman, stop being so damn petty. But unfortunately, that's the route that he's choosing to go, in the name calling him a sleazebag and all of this other stuff. But it also shows y'all might keep bringing up the Epstein thing and how he wants to detract or distract us from that. Here's what I also suspect that I don't hear enough people bringing it up. Maybe the big, beautiful bill isn't so big and beautiful after all. You would think with such a quote-unquote win that he'd want our rapt attention paid on that he wouldn't do anything to distract us from that. But in the immediate aftermath of that, we hear about the Russian collusion case. We hear about the FBI and the CIA and the weaponization of intelligence agencies. We're hearing about
he doesn't want to run on the
and
economy.
how Obama, he's hearing all of this other stuff. Yeah, you could say he doesn't want to run on the economy, and that's fair. I'm simply saying if the big, beautiful bill was as big and as beautiful as they proclaim,
he wouldn't talk about anything
Trump
else.
has given us every indication he wouldn't talk about anything else. So the fact that he's talking about everything else tells me that it ain't as big and beautiful as he's saying it is.
That's right.
And that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I think you're right. I'm smelling what you're cooking. James, give me a last word, Lady Liberty.
So to Stephen A.'s point, the big beautiful bill posed lower than any piece of legislation in this century. And probably if you go back before that, you can look. Look at all the data gurus. Look at all the thing. It's a big stinking bill. People don't like it. It has marginal public support. The Republicans are trying to run away from it as opposed to run on it. And as I said in the New York Times, Democrats have to hunt them down and talk about this. This is a legitimate issue. This is not a side issue. It's veterans benefits. It's rural hospitals. It's now they're saying it's up to $4.1 trillion in additional debt.
Yep.
So it's not a minor thing. This is a real discussion, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Chris,
and we'll keep having it. Give me a quick button, Stephen A. Go ahead, please.
If the Democrats are smart, they will be listening to James Carville, who is talking about the issues. He ain't engaging in woke culture and trying to pull us to the extreme left and trying to get us away from the issues that really, really matter and affect every American citizen. This is what he's talking about. If they listen to him, they'll have a chance. If they don't, they'll lose.
The 3 points he laid out for Bill Clinton. So James Carville, I knew this story, may he rest in peace, from Timmy Russert, who worked for my father and was one of my brother's best friends. So he gets all the credit for it's the economy, stupid, right? That wasn't even his first point on the board. The first point on the board was that Clinton represented real change, not more of the same. The second one was the economy, stupid, which was remember people's pocketbooks. And the third one was, and don't forget health care. Nothing has changed. If the Democrats focus on those meat and potatoes issues and who's suffering, they will be back to where they need to be. And if not, get ready for more pain. Jimmy, I got to jump. I love that you had Lady Liberty right behind you. I'm going to send you a picture of that. You don't need hair when you got that going on.
Everything. Wave the flag, okay, huh?
I mean, you look great. I like you got your USMC. He's got his Marine Corps sweatshirt. Stephen A., you got to get more patriotic, man. Look at this guy. He's killing us with patriotism. I'll talk to you later. Stephen A., I love
leave
you.
it to him.
Thank you for making your witness.
Same here, my man.
Congratulations on Sirius XM. You're going to take them to all new heights. Man, great deal for Sirius XM. Well done. 4 minutes, 30 seconds. Bibi Netanyahu, he's a problem, okay? He was a problem politically in Israel before everything, okay? Is there an argument to be made that he kept this conflict going just for him? Yeah, you can make an argument about anything. The question is, when are they going to hold elections? And is there a need for a change in leadership for there to be peace? Let's discuss with two men who've been on the ground, understand the risks of what will happen in Gaza. Next.
We're committing to free Gaza from the tyranny of these terrorists. And many Gazans come to us and they say, help us be free. Help us be free of Hamas, of their terror, of their cruelty, of their tyranny. And that's what we will do.
So Bibi says not only is he not pulling back, he may do more, go all in to root out Hamas and end their reign and this horrible conflict. Two questions. One, is that the right move? Does it make it better or worse? Second question, is aid the best next move for Israel? If not, for Bibi. Let's ask each question to an expert on the same. First, about going all in. Executive Director of the Urban Warfare Project, John Spencer. John, I know everybody's been asking you in the media to talk about genocide. I'm not, because I don't believe it's a genocide, so I don't want to waste time on that. But this move of going all in by Bibi, right move or no?
Long overdue. In war, you can't give your enemy a sanctuary. And up to this date, Israel has given Hamas a sanctuary inside of Gaza. There's 25% they haven't touched. There's 1 million people in Gaza City. There are areas that the IDF haven't been once out of concern for the civilians. This is the right move in order to speed this so you can get aid to the people that Hamas was blocking the aid getting to it. Israel is currently flooding Gaza with aid, and they should continue to do that. But the operation that they're talking about, which is to go into those areas they haven't gone into, is long overdue.
What about the X factor of the cost and all the images that come out of who dies when they do this operation?
Yeah, I mean, Israel's done more to protect civilians in their operations than any other military. You know, I've said that before. They should continue to do that. Call for the evacuations. The civilians should heed those calls, and I don't think we've talked about that. The reason Hamas wanted 1 million people to move into northern Gaza during the last ceasefire was to cause these images that you've seen, create it really hard to get aid to people. Yes, you have to move the civilians out of harm's way, move forward and distinguish between a Hamas combatant and a civilian and continue the operation. It's what's been delayed. If you remember that, don't go to Rafah, where they were. Don't go here, don't go there. That's not how you fight a war.
John Spencer, I appreciate it. Let's see what they decide to do. I want you to come back, and then we can kind of map out what it's going to look like and how long it's going to take. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. All right, now
Thanks,
let's
Chris.
talk about the alternative to this. Now, look, I think you got to do aid no matter what you do. And I think that's overdue also, even if Hamas steals it. I think that the narrative is toxic. But what about instead of going in with military, you go in with aid? Might that be a better foot forward for Israel? Let's bring in an expert in that area. Michael Capponi, okay? He's got a group called the Global Empowerment Mission, one of only a few groups actually getting aid into Gaza. You should check them out on Instagram or online if you want. They do a lot of work all over the world. Great organization. So, Mr. Capponi, it's good to see you. I'm sorry I missed you at your event, but I'd rather be talking to you here now and have the whole audience benefit instead of me getting a free cocktail. So, Michael, what do you make of the prospect of Israel upping aid and what that would mean to the overall effort?
Well, you know, when I talked to our team today, they remembered the pre-1995 days, right, of full Israeli occupation. So they're obviously very concerned about what that's like and what that was like and the curfews and everything that could do. It's going to be very difficult during that reoccupation period to get any aid in, right? Because you're in a full military zone. Right now, we've been bringing aid into areas and pockets that are basically where they move and shuffle people around. So that's going to change a lot of things. But I think what's important now to understand is the great majority of Palestinians today do not want Hamas in there anymore. They just do not. I mean, there's not, our team has been to every single camp all throughout this area and spoken to every tent leader, handed boxes to everybody. They want them out. So they want that. So that's got to happen. But the process to do it is going to be very difficult for Palestinians. And we're going to do everything we can. Like you said, we're authorized now. We have no limits to bringing aid in because we passed all the checks with, the Ministry of the Diaspora. So when I asked Kogat, can we get 70 trucks in next week? Yeah. When I ask them, can we get 1,000 trucks? They say, yeah. What people need to understand, and, as much as I'm anti-Hamas, it's not just Hamas stealing the aid. The great majority of the aid that's being taken is hungry people. Like today, we had a convoy and you drive as far as you can. And all of a sudden there's 15,000 people that surround the truck and they see food on that truck. They're going to grab it because they're hungry. And I can guarantee you that if for 3 months there was no food in New York City and all of a sudden convoys of aid came in, what do you think New Yorkers would do? They'd grab the food off the truck too, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Just so people can see, those aren't ants, those aren't coffee grounds, those are human beings. And there is a convoy in the middle of it, and this is exactly what Capponi is talking about. And you notice his tone. He's not dehumanizing the people. He's not making this a problem. This is the need. He's there to help the need. And this is what happens. You bring the convoy and you don't get to the distribution center. You don't get anywhere as soon as they find out it's there and they can collect because they're desperate. So don't you think aid has to be a part of the plan more than ever, no matter what else goes along with it from Israel's perspective?
Absolutely. And they've had GHF, they've had these 4 points, but like I keep bringing up, 4 points, you need 500 points. I mean, people just can't walk through a war zone like that, right? So they need to do what they do if they're going to still continue to do that. But organizations like us that know what to do, we also need assistance getting aid to camps in all different areas. So if that can happen, then it's great. I mean, look, people need to stop being and taking sides and being against each other. We need to stop blaming, right, Jewish people for the actions, right, of their government. We need to stop blaming Palestinian citizens and civilians for the actions of Hamas. And we need to come together and try to solve this problem so we can have peace.
Amen, amen. And one thing that we can definitely do is that in the interim, flood the aid. Let anybody who's going to take it, let them take it. Get more distribution in there, get more. If there are bad things that happen, bad things happen. But more aid and more media. All right, I got to jump. Michael Capponi, you're always welcome here. Stay in touch.
Yes.
4 minutes and 15 seconds. The man known as the Godfather of AI, okay? He literally helped create it. What's he worried about? What is he excited about? The Godfather, the kind that doesn't kill you. Next. All right, let's bring in the Godfather of AI, Geoffrey Hinton. Thank you, first of all, sir, for your contribution to our collective well-being. And I just wanted to get a sense from you of what is your biggest concern and what is your biggest point of excitement about the advent of AI?
So there's lots of short-term risks of AI, like causing joblessness or causing echo chambers where you just get shown advertisements that make you indignant. Or cyber attacks, which are much better now that there's large language models. But my main worry is that sometime in the next 20 years, probably sooner, AI is going to get smarter than us. Most of the leading researchers think it'll get much smarter than us. And then the question is, who will stay in control? There are very few examples of smarter things being controlled by less smart things. And so we don't know whether we're going to be able to stay in control of super intelligent AI.
Is there any way to control how smart it gets?
Yes, we could stop doing research on it. We could stop using more computation for it. But it's got so many good uses that that's not going to happen. People will keep developing it. It's going to be very useful in healthcare, for example, giving much better diagnoses, designing better drugs. It's going to be very helpful in education. Tutors can make kids learn about twice as fast as being in a classroom, and AI will probably be even better when you get personal AI tutors. That won't happen for a few years, but they'll be very good.
What is the chance that we wind up living the movie The Matrix?
I don't think we'll live that. I think we're quite ingenious. I'm hoping we can come up with a solution to how to stay in control even when it's smarter than us. And the best example I have is a mother and baby, where the mother's smarter than the baby, but the baby's in control because evolution put a lot of work into making the mother care a lot about the baby. We're going to be the baby and AI is going to be the mother.
So, it's going to take some jobs because of efficiencies, but doesn't it also shine a light that there are certain things that we have neglected that we'll always need, like the artisan class and people who can build and fix and repair things that are not going to be done by robot in your or my lifetime?
Maybe not in my lifetime, but certainly in yours. Robots are getting more dexterous all the time. They can even do things like open car doors now. It's a bit slower than things like large language models, which was a big surprise, but robots will get a lot more dexterous. For the time being, if you work with your hands on non-routine things, like a plumber working in an old house, you're going to be safe. But that, in the end, robots will be able to do that too.
What is the first line of jobs they'll take?
Oh, things like call centers or paralegals. They're not going to last long because these things will actually know much more than the people who answers your call in the call center.
Well, that's a pretty low bar.
It is a low bar, but that's why that job's going to go first.
Good, because those people suck. So I'd like to see them replaced by somebody who at least knows what's going to go on. If I don't get to talk to a human, I might as well talk to a smart piece of software. Well, listen, as we learn more about the application, Mr. Hinton, Geoffrey, please come back and let's discuss how it's going and what you think needs to be focused on and dealt with.
Okay.
Appreciate you. Geoffrey Hinton, one of the developers of AI, absolutely going to change our society. We'll be right back. Leland Vittert takes up the coverage right now. Can you believe The Matrix was in 1999, means they were shooting it in 1997? And they were so clued in to where we may be 10 years from now. Not with that whole dystopian, event, but that AI becomes smarter than human life.
Tom Clancy predicted 9/11.
True, but attacks are easier to see than progress.
Huh? You know what? Always the optimist. You're the optimist, I'm the realist. It's why I come after you.
You come after me because we get better as we go. Have a good show. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.